Hopefully it'll go live. Looks like it's working.
Oh, it says it is now.
Yeah. I think it's working. Okay. And then I'm also going to try to go live on YouTube at the same time. So we're going to see if this works okay.
Okay.
Yep. Looks like it's working. Hi, everyone. Give us a couple minutes to get set up. We're going to share this around and then also trying to go live on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. So give us a minute to get set up and we will get going. And so if you are watching us live, post in the comments below, and then we will be trying to answer questions. But we might do a big overview first before we get into questions. But if you do have questions, put them in the comments below so that we can kind of try to consolidate. Some of you might have the same questions. So, but we're just going to give it a couple minutes and let people come on too. All right. All right, so, and then just to introduce, Heather Craig from Thriving Waves Financial is here with me. And we're going to try to share this over on her business page too. It looks like that worked, which is great.
Did it?
I just got a notification saying that you shared my post.
Okay.
Or you shared our event, so that's good.
And you're faster than me.
Okay, it doesn't look like I can actually simultaneously get on YouTube and Facebook, but that's fine. We'll just do a YouTube video later, so that works.
Yeah.
My whole 50 subscribers are not going to be, too sad that they don't get this live. So, okay. Let me make sure that I've got my, because I don't have my dual screen set up right now, I will be looking at my phone for comments. Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how we were going to see the comments without it
I know. It doesn't
echoing in our microphones.
Yeah. I know. I'm turn off sound, which will be fine. And then, so it's saying it's a video right now. So hopefully everybody who, I wonder if we need to share this to the event too. I might just try that as well. So, if you are following in the event, then you might, I'll just copy and paste this link over there. Okay, it looks like we're shared. And then I do think we have some people on. So let us know if you can see us. Give us a like or a comment and let us know you're there. Okay.
We can't figure out how to shut the volume off on mine. So I can't see the comments.
Shared. Oh, okay. I guess I can hear it.
Yeah.
Just turn the volume down on your phone. Does that work?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's fine. Okay.
Thus, you'll all see why Hannah is running the technological show here.
And if I'm the technological person, then we have some troubles. So
hey, we're gonna get through this.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Oh.
Okay. Well, we did schedule this pretty late. So I don't know how many people will actually be able to watch this live. So we'll go ahead and get started. Yeah. And then, as people pop on, if you do have questions, just put them in the comments below, and then hopefully we'll get the comments in the right place, because I'm thinking, somebody might leave comments in the event or they might leave comments directly on the video. So hopefully try to leave it directly on the video. I think that'll make it easier to see it. So, okay, topic for today. So I'm Hannah Smolinski, Clara CFO Group, Heather Craig, Thriving Waves Financial. We are both CPAs. We are practicing in similar and somewhat different service levels. Heather is providing tax services on top of also managed accounting services up through like CFO services. And I'm focused mostly on just providing virtual CFO services. But I really love getting Heather's perspective from like her tax background. And we're not going to be mostly talking about taxes today, though. So there's going to be, we've both been trying to research everything that's happened. Last week, the government passed the CARES Act. And you've probably been hearing that there's lots of stimulus for small business owners. And what we really wanted to do is come on and make sure that people are really clear about what's available and some of the nuances, because it is confusing and people are just kind of left to sort of figure it out on their own. And we're getting lots of questions that are coming up with like, oh, actually people don't know what they're supposed to be doing or what they're eligible for. So we wanted to have this conversation today.
Yeah.
Heather, anything to add to that?
No, I just think that, that's what we're here for, is to support everyone as much as possible. So that's why we wanted to make sure and bring these things to light for you all today, and to kind of give you the quick and dirty as much as possible of all of the tax law that's going behind this.
Yeah. So, I mean, and kind of the biggest thing that's going on right now is that there's funding available and funding options for through two main programs. And so this is what we're going to get into. So we're going to throw around a couple acronyms, but kind of what we want to do first is do a really high level overview of the two programs, and then we can get down into kind of the nitty gritty. So really high level first, we have the economic injury disaster loans, and then the Paycheck Protection Program. So EIDL is the economic injury disaster loans, and then PPP is the Paycheck Protection Program. So yeah. Did it. Okay. So both of these are essentially Small Business Administration loans, but they are applied for in different ways. They are meant for different things. And there is like some loan forgiveness / grants on both of them. But just because you apply for one doesn't mean you're eligible for the other. And there's nuances between the two different programs. Paycheck Protection Program is easy to remember because it's the one that helps on the payroll side. So I want to kind of put that out there to start with. And then Heather's actually put together a really great resource that kind of puts the two side by side, and we can start doing a comparison. So I'm curious, maybe we go ahead and start with the payroll protection. Heather, do you want to go?
Do you want me to share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead and share it, because I think that will be helpful. It's nice to have a visual to follow along with, and then we'll kind of go from here.
Okay. So do you want to start with the Paycheck Protection Program?
Yeah, let's go ahead and start there, because I think that this one is the strangest one, I guess, like a little bit different from, anything else. And this one has the largest potential loan forgiveness as well. So I know people are really interested in hearing about this program.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully you guys can see the screen, and I've got on the left side the Paycheck Protection Program kind of bullet points, and then on the other side we've got the EIDL bullet points. So essentially there is loan forgiveness available with the PPP program. This is eligible to businesses, not-for-profits, self-employed, and independent contractors. The loan terms will be 2 years after the 6-month deferral period, which is automatic the way we understand it right now. And the interest rate will be 0.5%. This loan, you have to go to a local SBA approved lender. So you need to be checking with your bank. I know a lot of the banks around here and the banks that I do business with and some of my clients do business with are saying if you don't already have a business account with us, you can't apply for this loan through us.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen that on 2 different websites now.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind, that you will probably want to work with your lender that or your bank that you already do business with through your business checking account.
And Heather, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to already have a loan with them, right? Just a checking account or a savings account or some sort of relationship, maybe
Correct.
potentially even a credit card or something.
Yeah, I don't know about the credit card, but I
Yeah.
do know that for the ones that I've seen, it literally says you have to have a business account with us.
Okay. And that might also be what one of the banks that I talked to when it had me there was actually a pre-registration process.
Oh, wow.
So they said, hey, we're getting everybody kind of queued up into like the order that they're interested. And so they had me register, and there was a toggle button. Are you a KeyBank customer? Because this was KeyBank, yes or no. And so I think in my mind, it makes it more helpful if you already have a banking relationship there, because it's going to kind of help you. I mean, my guess is that banks would obviously prioritize their own
Customers.
if they can. I mean, if they're allowed to, and it sounds like they're allowed to, if they're saying that.
Yeah. There could be additional deferment available on this loan past the 6 months, but we don't know that for sure. So I think we were actually going to start with a little bit of a disclaimer here that things are moving very, very rapidly.
Yeah.
And like 2 days ago, these loan terms weren't quite what they say they are now. And everyone is still trying to catch up to what the law actually says. And the government is still actually helping to like mold this program. So this is what we know as of right now. And that's our little disclaimer that things could change.
Yeah. I mean, and I think it's important, like, even if you knew about, I mean, we're talking about Paycheck Protection Program. This program was kind of funded and initiated through the CARES Act, but there was some economic injury loans available before the CARE Act finalized. And so some people applied for it early, and they had like, an application that could have taken them anywhere from 2 to 6 hours. Like, there were people who spent a lot of time on it, but the application now is different. So and that is in a matter of like maybe 4 days difference of a timeline. And then I know for a while the application was not available online on the SBA website for the EIDL. You had to like download a paper copy and submit it. So just to give you an example, there are things that are rapidly changing. And we want you to make sure that you know that this today is April 2nd at 2:13 or Pacific. No, what time is it? I don't even know what time it is.
Yeah, it is 2:13 Eastern.
On your computer. I was like, wait, that's not my time. 2:13 Eastern time.
Like, she was fast at that conversion.
Now I'm looking at your computer. So yeah, this is what we know right now. And even when it comes to your bank, keep going on the Paycheck Protection Program, because I think that this is all great information.
Yeah. So there are definitely less stringent requirements on the PPP loan versus the EIDL. It appears that it's going to be a faster processing. Supposedly, once you've got contact with the bank and submitted everything, it could be within 3 business days that you would receive the funding.
Yeah.
Is what I'm hearing. It's less paperwork. It's literally, so like it's front and back of one form, and then there's like a bunch of instructions on the next 2 pages. So it's a super simple form. Your business had to have been in operation as of April 15th. You have to prove
February 15th of 2020.
Yes,
right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
February 15th. You have to certify that you've experienced financial hardship, such as loss of revenue or sales, or other kinds of hardship because of the COVID-19 issues. You have to have paid employees, contractors, or yourself since February 15th at least. And there's no personal guarantee or collateral required. And you're just making several certifications on the application that you meet the requirements that they're asking you to.
Mm-hmm. Now, Heather, do you think some people are asking me this question? They're saying, well, I'm not necessarily experiencing my revenue loss right now, but
Yeah.
I'm anticipating it because it's, maybe April we've had to close down, or we think that like we're not going to get any new contracts going forward. Economic injury, or like having, economic hardship
Hardship.
could be longer than maybe like, what's happened just in March, right?
Right.
And you're basically certifying that you are experiencing hardship. And I
Yes.
think that is a kind of, it's a loose interpretation, but
Absolutely.
but I mean, you can talk to, like, if you're not sure whether or not you qualify, I mean, you can think through it, but feel free to talk to somebody, talk to your financial professional, think about your forecasts and what's happening, what's coming down the pipe for your business, because I don't know anybody who isn't actually affected by this right now.
Right. Yeah, we're all in it.
Yeah. I mean, if it's not, maybe it's not revenue that's an issue. Maybe your employees have stopped working, or maybe you've had to close your brick and mortar shop or something like or maybe it's even a supply chain issue. And they do specifically list that in the bill about supply chain issues. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. Okay.
So essentially, this loan that you can get very quickly through the PPP is the average of your monthly payroll costs from the last 12 months times 2.5%, or 2.5 times 2.5.
Yeah.
With a maximum of 10 million. So there's a couple of caveats here. So if you didn't have any payroll last year, 2019, for some reason, and you had payroll since the beginning of the year, you could include, it says that you can use January and February's numbers to get your average. And it also, if you are self-employed, and like report your income tax like on a Schedule C instead of a business tax return, I believe it's going to be based on your net income off of your Schedule C, or what you would have in your financial statements.
So do you think that would apply to someone who was an LLC but taxed as a sole proprietor, even if they had employees? This is where I get a little bit confused, where I'm like, okay, you're an LLC taxed as a sole proprietor. So basically your income is being taken out of the profits of the business through an owner's draw.
Yeah.
But maybe you have, like, 3 or 4 staff that come into your brick and mortar shop and help you, at the shop. So you do have payroll, you have employees. My understanding would be that we would just do the payroll expense and not include the owner's draw in that situation.
Yeah, I don't believe you can include owner's draws. If you are actually on your own payroll, that's where it would be beneficial. I actually hadn't thought of it that way, because I always feel like it's either a business return or you're self-employed and it's just you.
Right. Yeah.
So that's really good to bring up, and I don't know the answer to that.
I'm going forward with my recommendations to go with to include the payroll costs of your employees only if you are only paying yourself as the business owner out of owner's draw.
Yeah.
I think that might be a little bit harder, but then if people are in really hardship situations, that's where we're considering the EIDL.
Yeah.
For that
True.
situation, because basically the heart, and I think this is kind of important to understand, the heart behind the PPP program is to make sure that these employees are not going on unemployment.
Yes.
That's like the goal, is to make sure that you're keeping your employees funded and it working. And this helps you as the business owner too, because you don't have to lay your employees off and then potentially hire new people down the road when you're back up and running, which we all know is like a major expense from, a business owner's perspective, training and hiring new employees. Yeah. So even if you have to, maybe you don't have any work for them to do because your business is closed, this could potentially help you pay, a salary or some sort of fixed amount while they're not necessarily working in the business. And it's just a way to keep them off of unemployment, essentially.
Yes. I agree with that completely, that it's I mean, our unemployment system at this point is completely overloaded anyways. But as a business owner, you want to consider two things. You want to be protecting your top revenue, um, items, whatever your revenue line item is, and your top talent, because you're going to reduce your need to go and try to rehire and retrain, just like Hannah was saying. You definitely want to retain your top talent because that's important to your business.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what this is meant to do, is to help you do that so that we
Yeah.
can weather this storm.
Yeah, definitely. A couple questions that are coming in. One is about if you've already furloughed your employees. So Neil asked a question, if you've
Yeah.
already furloughed employees, can you potentially rehire them back under the
Yes.
PPP program? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
So there's essentially a count of employees as of February 15th.
Mm-hmm.
From what I'm understanding, February 15th, how many did you have at that point? Because that's kind of before all this happened. And then there'll be essentially another count you need to have as of June 30th, right? Or is it
I
at
don't.
the end of the 8-week period?
Yeah. So once you receive if you receive funding, once you receive funding, you have 8 weeks from there to use those funds, and then that 8 weeks is your period that they're going to use to determine how much is forgiven. And that's where they're going to take that count again of what your employee cost is and your payroll, which would be proving with payroll reports and things like that from your payroll provider.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Because
so
actually,
yeah,
I think they want that. Like they want people who are on furloughed to be coming off of the unemployment system and
yeah,
back into their jobs.
yeah,
That is part of the stimulus package.
absolutely.
Okay, couple questions. So Summer mentioned, so if she takes draws only, this could potentially be, so if she doesn't pay herself on payroll,
Mm-hmm.
it could potentially be used under the sole proprietor. Do we want to talk about that? Under the sole proprietor stipulation. So this
Yeah.
is an interesting program because in the past, like there hadn't been a whole lot of support for sole proprietors and independent contractors. So maybe we should talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And first, I want to say, if you are organized as a business and with a business return, these loans are going to start being processed tomorrow by banks. So
Tomorrow.
on April 3rd. But if you are self-employed or independent contractor, more of a Schedule C type tax return, I've heard it's either the 10th or the 11th. I've heard both dates. So next week, though, you should be able to start applying. And that process is going to look a little different if you're a business owner and you've got payroll reports so you can prove it out, versus if you're the sole proprietor, independent contractor type. So that's going to determine. So Summer, depending on what business type you are, I mean, hopefully you're not an S-Corp and you're not paying yourself a payroll, because you should be if you're an S-Corp. And then that's kind of going to probably disqualify you for this if you for some reason are an S-Corp and not paying yourself a payroll, because that's a requirement. So hopefully that's not the case.
Yeah, but it sounds like if you don't have payroll, even if you're an LLC taxed as an S corp, but you just don't have any payroll because you don't have any employees, it sounds like you could still potentially apply for some funding underneath the PPP program.
Yes.
But it puts you into that week after category.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Okay.
my understanding is that it's going to be more based on your profit and loss statement. So your income from the prior year versus like how much you would actually have drawn from the company. That's the way I understand it in the research that I've done.
Okay.
So
yeah, and it could be too that you apply directly to your bank, and then your bank could potentially help you figure out exactly what's eligible, because they're getting more information than maybe even we're getting right now. So
we hope.
Yeah, we hope, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So the idea is that there might be kind of a refinement of the number once the application is in and before you actually get funded. Okay.
Yeah.
But it doesn't hurt to go ahead and apply, because then you could either like get your questions answered, or, maybe it does get rejected because you're not eligible, but at least you're like applying for it and you're trying to figure out what mechanisms could be pulled there.
Yeah.
So let's see. Kara asked, for forgiveness, do you know what happens if you don't need as much as your loan is for payroll? So,
Okay.
yeah, do you want to talk to that?
Yeah. So funds are provided. I'm gonna read this straight off of this one form that I'm looking at. Forms are provided in the form of loans that will be fully forgiven when used for payroll costs, interest on mortgages, rent, and utilities, when at least 75% of that cost must be used for payroll. So anything that's not forgiven, and I've got a calculator like sitting here with, like, if you use this much for payroll and this much for rent, then here's the difference, and then here it'll tell us like what amount would be forgiven. Forgiveness is based on the employer maintaining or quickly rehiring employees and maintaining salary levels. Forgiveness will be reduced if full-time headcount declines or if salaries and wages decrease.
So what they don't want is they don't want you to say, okay, now I've got all this money and now I'm going to cut all of my salaried employees down 50%. And I'm not going to, I mean, they say you can't cut it more than 25%. And then they also don't want you letting people go after you've gotten this money, because then they're like, well, that defeats the whole purpose of this whole thing.
Right. Which is why there's this recertification process that you're going to have to go through after the 8 weeks to prove out how you've used the funds and if you've maintained your employees. And that's when they will decide if you are forgiven partial or all of it.
Yeah. And on that piece too, Kara, like, if you've got other money, like your business hasn't stopped all the way. So Kara's virtual. So she doesn't have like a physical location. So if you still have money coming in, that's fine. Use that money for other things. Use this loan to pay your payroll. That's what they're trying to say. Like, so this loan can just take over your payroll costs, cover it 100%, and you still might have a little bit left over. It might be, 10, 15,000, something like that. If it's that much, then that's the part that converts into a loan. If you can't use it for any of the other eligible expenses, then it converts to a loan. And if you did have the cash still at that point, you didn't use it, you could just go ahead and pay it off. Done.
Yeah.
Or if you do need that cash to operate other things, use it to operate other things. And there's a deferred period there. So you don't even have to pay that money back right away.
Yep. So there's 6-month deferral and it's 0.5% interest rate. Like, just do it. Like, even
your financial
I don't know everyone's business is here, but it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, just do it, because like, what's the worst? You have 6 months of deferred and you have a 0.5% interest rate for 2 years that you can use this money to pay back. Like, that's a super low rate.
Super low rate. You're not going to get that anywhere else. Now, the interest does accrue over that 6-month period. So you are going to get a little bit, but we're talking about such a little bit amount of money that like having that maybe a little bit of extra cash right now in this environment when like there's a lot of uncertainty could be helpful for you. So maybe just hold on to it.
Yeah. For sure.
Okay. I think that helps, Kara. Let's make sure we covered all the other questions. And then Krista said she's filling out her SBA loan application. So that's the next program we're going to talk about. So we'll finish up with PPP and then we'll talk about the EIDL program.
Yeah, I think that we've hit most of it. It's just going to be important that once you do get the funds, that you keep really good track of your accounting records for the next 8 weeks. That you really do use it to help your employees and yourself weather this storm, and don't just go spend it willy-nilly.
Right.
And yeah, like, reach out to us if there's something that we can help you with, or if you need help figuring out what this calculation would look like for you. We can help you with that. I don't know. I can put this handout in the comments as a link so that you guys can grab it if you want it, and then Hannah, if you want to talk about the EIDL.
Yeah, one more question that came in is, can we hire a new person with this money during
Yeah.
this time? And I think yes. The
Yeah.
answer is yes.
Mhm.
I am okay, great. Yeah, definitely. You can still hire. I mean, all the better that you're hiring during this time. Do you feel like, Heather, do you feel like it's so critical that these funds are used for payroll that people need to consider opening up a separate bank account? That seems overkill to me.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. It would just go into your general operating account or
Yeah.
whatever account you pay out of payroll. And then you'll be, if you're keeping track of your payroll in any major payroll system, then you're going to be able to pull your payroll reports, show that it's there. If you need to produce bank statements or you need to produce checks as a evidence of that you actually paid this money out to your employees, that you could be asked for that. Just know that. And that's why Heather was saying, make sure you keep good records. Um, Melanie said she wants the handout, please, which we can totally do. And then Krista says that she's filling out the form from her bank for the PPP, which is great. That means your bank is on top of it a little bit more
Yeah.
than some other banks. So that's
Krista,
really
who's
good.
your banker? What bank are you using?
Krista, tell us. She might not want to. She's like, that's my funding. Okay. Okay. So Krista says her banker recommended keep it in a separate new account.
Oh.
So that's interesting. I mean, I had thought about that. Like, does it make sense to do that? I think it would make it the cleanest so you could really see like it's used exactly for that. So yeah. And then some people already have, like, if you're following a profit first system, some people already have a payroll account, which then it would, maybe just have it deposited directly into your payroll account and use it that way. Mission Bank, Krista says. He's in California.
Okay.
Okay, so I think it sounds like that's a little bit of a it sounds like it's a little bit of a unclear point. The biggest thing would be keeping records. And I think it would probably be wise to not like Heather said, maybe not go and spend it on anything super crazy at the moment. Like, don't be making huge investments in other things because it could look like you are using the SBA funds for other stuff.
Yeah.
So, you don't want to have that compromised in any way for them to say, well, you actually didn't use the money for payroll. You used it for, your company Tesla.
Yeah, I think that's like wise business advice right now anyways with these times. Everything is a little murky and we're all still trying to get through this. And really, if you're in a position to need this loan because of cash crunch, cash flow purposes, like you shouldn't be spending money on, you need to be really careful with your money anyways right now, right? So hopefully the point would be to not be doing that anyways.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is time that we're trying to make sure everybody is being careful with their spending. I mean, nothing that's unnecessary right now, because we don't know the end date of this. And so we need to be conservative right now. Or at least that's my advice, is to be conservative with expenses as much as you possibly can. Okay. Krista says now she needs a company Tesla. I know. I have one client
that doesn't even work for you, does it,
Krista? I know. I have one client that's like, that's my goal, is to have a company Tesla. Okay. And then Kara, if you're on Gusto, Kara mentioned that the Q1 941 should be available tomorrow. So the Gusto is usually pretty timely on their form filing. So that's just kind of a little PSA. All right. So, and then Melanie reminds us that keeping your books clean is always a good idea, because it makes any sort of this, applying for funding or grants or anything, it makes it that much easier. If your books are up to date, if your taxes are up to date, if you have a good payroll system, it's going to make your life so much easier. So that's just a nice little reminder there. So, okay. I think we're going to move on to the EIDL program.
Okay, I will try to watch the comments now. So
okay. Sounds good. Okay. So EIDL. So Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. This is the program that was available before the CARES Act and then has been expanded to include what is called emergency funding or emergency grants under the CARES Act. So they specifically allowed another $10 billion, billion with a B, to go to providing some immediate cash into bank accounts for people who are requesting it. So I'm going to go over that. But this economic injury, just from a really high level, this is the type of loan that would be applied for similarly, like if you had a hurricane come through your, through your area and your area was declared like a national emergency. What is that called? What's the term?
Disaster.
Yeah. Or like had a, why can't I think of that?
I
Emergency.
don't know. I can't either.
Emergency declaration, so,
Yes.
yeah, so basically these are a type of program that is specifically put out for disaster times. Okay. So this is a little bit more open-ended. It's more traditional, like more of a traditional SBA type loan because there are longer terms available. There is up to $2 million is the cap of what you can request. The only thing that becomes like pretty weird, or one of the things that becomes kind of weird in this situation because of the CARES Act, is this potential initial up to $10,000 grant. So this is the thing that people are talking about. And this is one of the reasons that the PPP loan and the EIDL loan are getting confused, is because they both have this like forgiveness or grant component to them. And so I think that this is the issue. So anyway, so if you apply for this economic injury disaster loan, you can check a box that says, I'm interested in getting the emergency grant money. Okay. And it's saying that you will get that money in 3 days after you apply.
Yeah.
I haven't
qualify. Yeah.
If you qualify. Yeah. So I don't know anybody who's actually gotten the money yet. And I think the language also says up to $10,000. I was doing the math, and $10 billion means that 1 million business owners get $10,000. Okay. So my guess is that more than 1 million people are going to apply for this program and want that emergency cash. So I think it's good to maybe just taper our expectations a little bit and say, okay, like this might not be a thing that you actually are going to get, $10,000. And one thing that Heather mentioned to me about this program too, is that if you are awarded this $10,000 and it's a grant to you and you are taking that, it does reduce your potential forgivable amount of the PPP loan.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So like, let's just say in this example that she's showing still on the screen share. So if, let's see. So would this be correct that in your loan forgiveness situation, if your loan forgiveness was 7,500 down here, that if you did get the $10,000 grant, then you would be forgiven 67,500?
Yes.
Am I thinking about that correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
If you were awarded 10 somewhere else, you have to subtract it from anything you were awarded through the PPP.
Okay. And that's even if you're using it for different things, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're just saying you're only awarded up to that. So that's something new. I learned that today. That was a new thing that I didn't know about. Okay. So, but a lot of people are asking too, can I apply for both? Can I apply for EIDL and can I apply for PPP? And the answer is yes, you can. But the big thing is that it needs to be applied for separate reasons.
Yes.
So if you are a company that maybe only has payroll costs, like if you're a service-based virtual company and that's really your only main expense, it's going to be hard for you to justify that you need another loan from under the EIDL. There's always other business expenses and things like that, but it might be a little bit hard to get that one. And you don't want to say you're getting money and then that money is kind of double, I guess, used for the same reason.
Yeah,
Okay.
double dipping.
Yeah, double dipping. We don't want that because these are, and we want to also be considerate. Like these loans are meant for people who really need them right now. And so when you're taking a loan that you don't need, it's taken away from somebody who might potentially need those funds. So, let's just use like our good faith and go into this as, honest business owners. So, on the EIDL, I'm not going to necessarily go through like the interest rates are good. They're 3.75%. I'll tell you who I'm recommending them to right now, because I think this is kind of like who I think could really use this right now are people who are taking the PPP program, but maybe they have a large amount of debt on their balance sheet, like that is high interest. So if you've got credit cards that are at like 15 to 25% interest rates, or you have even small business loans that might be at 8 or 9%, or equipment loans that could be at like 15, 20%, like some of these interest rates could just keep you down. So if you are able to refinance some of that and potentially move all of those into a nice low interest loan from the SBA, I feel like it's a really good opportunity.
Yeah.
And the other kind of cool thing about some of this is they've waived some of the fees on applying for the loans. And then they've also made it is a little bit slower processing for sure. The
I'm
initial
hearing
application.
like 4 to 5 weeks.
Okay. Yeah. And then the initial application used to be more paperwork, but now the new one that's up is very quick. Like maybe it might take you like 15 minutes or something to do, as long as you have all your information pulled together, like your P&L. You need to know like what date your business was formed. Hopefully, you know that somewhere. Your EIN, and then like your personal information, like your personal information, ownership information, your social security number, and all that goes into the application. And then you do need to show your revenue and your expenses from last year. And then they might come back and ask for more information because the initial application was much more stringent. So this new one that's up right now is very light. They don't even ask you how much money you want.
Oh.
So my guess is that they will come back and ask for more information or give you some sort of offer of how much they determine you should get.
Okay.
So that when I thought that was kind of interesting, you're not actually asking for the amount.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. So
yeah. Okay. Okay. I think I just lost your screen.
Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. All right. Let's see. This loan can be used to cover operating costs or anything really. And then it's maxed, capped out at $2 million. Is there anything else down at the bottom?
If you somehow get over 200,000, then you have to have a personal guarantee, which means if the business for some reason can't pay it back, then you personally are responsible for paying it back.
Right. Yeah. And then if it's over $200,000, that probably means that you'll need to provide some sort of like personal financial statement. They probably want to know about what assets you own, what liquid assets you have, what retirement accounts you have, that type of stuff. So it will require more paperwork on your part to do that. The really awesome thing about the PPP program is that it's 100% guaranteed by the government. Still up to a certain amount, right? Or just am I?
I don't know for sure.
Okay. I know that no personal guarantees are required. I do have a page in front of me. No collateral is required. There is no personal guarantee requirement. Although I'm looking at one of these documents that will link in the notes as well, but it says, however, if the proceeds are used for fraudulent purposes, the US government will pursue criminal charges against you. So FYI, don't use it for criminal activity. Yeah. Okay. So it looks like comments are being taken care of, which is great. Let's see here. So what questions do you guys have? I feel like we gave the high level we've got a few more minutes. I will have to probably hop off in about 10 minutes, but if we want to, we can just field any questions from anybody who's listening. Even if it's like a individual situation, we can kind of go through that.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. And then let's go ahead and see if we can get some resources into your hands. I don't know if do you have that PDF that you mentioned? Is that,
I do.
okay. Amanda says, will the payroll loan cover contractors?
So no,
Yeah.
because they're considered their own small business Schedule C, and they would have to file for themselves.
Right. Yeah. Now the loan will not be forgiven. Now this is kind of interesting. So it won't be able to be in that forgiven amount if it covers contractors. If it was, maybe you paid some payroll and then you had a leftover amount that got converted to the loan, that part. Oh wait, how come I can't hear you?
Who? Me?
Oh no, I can hear you now.
I wasn't talking.
Oh. That's fine. Okay. Is that right, Heather? Am I thinking about that right?
Say
Like
it again.
okay, so she got approved so let's just say she got approved for a PPP loan, and let's say it was $50,000, but maybe right now she doesn't have that much payroll to cover. Like, so she paid her payroll with it, but she still had maybe $20,000 left over. Could she use that money to pay contractors?
She could. It would just be part of the reduction on the formula for calculating how much is forgiven. So yeah, I think you said that
So it
correct.
wouldn't be forgiven if you use the money, but the money could be used to pay the contractors, if that makes sense. So, okay, great. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Summer. Thanks for joining us. So if the loan is forgiven, will it be considered income? Good question. It will not, correct?
I don't believe so. That's the way I'm reading it all.
That's the way. This is like so huge, you guys. This is one of the reasons why I'm like, whoo, you guys need to know about this program, because it will not be considered income. Melanie, is that what you've read too? Melanie is also a CPA. She's joining us. I know she's been working in some different, she's been doing a lot of taxes recently, but
yeah, the way I read it is that it's not going to be taxable on your 2020 tax return. So
yeah, I mean, that is so huge because typically if you have loans forgiven, that's considered income.
Yeah,
correct?
Generally.
So that would be like another hardship because it would be money that you'd have to come up with the tax amount on that. Yeah. So I think they're really trying to make this a true stimulus package. Which, I applaud. I think I mean, the bill's not perfect in any way, shape, or form, but I think they've really tried to think through some of these things. So it could definitely be helpful.
Oh, the other thing that we should mention is that this is a capped loan for the total funding. It's like 45 or 350 $billion. Yeah. So it is kind of first come, first serve, which means there's going to be a rush on this, to kind of have your ducks in a row and get with your bank pretty quickly because, once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah. Once it's gone, it's gone. Exactly. So that's one reason why we did this today. I was boxing with Heather last night and I was like, hey, I think people need to know about this. So we needed to get this information for you today so that you can get on this application as soon as possible. If you were informed, you are going to be ahead of some other people who may not be informed and they may be late on the bandwagon. So try to get what you can on this, apply tomorrow, talk to your bank today if you can, look at their website, and get on it ASAP. Yeah. Is the general guidance. Okay, let's see. Any other questions? I'm trying to think. So I will definitely, there's this, on the SBA website, if you don't already have this, there is a PDF called the Paycheck Protection Program Information Sheet, and it's a link. And I'm going to put that in the comments. I just need to find it. Find it on my computer here.
I have it up too, but I don't have Facebook up on my computer. So
I know. Let's we'll get it for everybody so it's there. And then I'm trying to think of what other links and resources could be helpful right now. So definitely the application. So I'll open this up and put the, oh, I can't comment. Oh, yes, I can. There I can. Here we go. Okay, so here's the application, adding this. And then I'm going to add the PPP information, the overview, and then the information sheet. This one is the one that's really helpful.
Did you have the fact sheet?
Yeah, the fact sheet. I just added that. So that's super helpful. And then I'll put the application example for the PPP program. So just keep in mind that the example may not be exactly what your bank is asking for. They might ask for additional information, or they might ask some other things. But I think that makes sense. So, I mean, if we don't have any other questions, I think we should just wrap it up and close things down. But I mean, thank you guys for joining today. If you feel like this is going to be helpful to anybody else, feel free to share it. We will also, I mean, it'll be here for a while, and then also make sure to connect with us here at Clara CFO Group. If you're not following this page, I would, because we're going to be continuing to post resources and stuff. And then also now Heather has her own business page, Thriving Waves Financial. So be sure to follow her as well, because she's got resources and things that she's posting there too. And then I think Heather's going to try to figure out how to get us her PDF.
Yes, I will get that posted in the comments, and we'll also watch for any additional new comments that we can try to answer, you know, over the next 24 hours or whatever, to help people out.
Yeah, I think people will be watching this afterwards and probably asking questions. So, and then probably, well, I don't know if it makes sense to turn this into a YouTube video, because it's not evergreen. So we'll probably just keep it on Facebook for now. So any comments can be just left on this video. So, all right. Thank you, Heather. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for setting this up, Hannah.
Yeah, no, and thank you for putting together. That information sheet is super helpful. So that's an awesome resource for people. So reach out to us, either one of us, if you have any questions. I know, you know, I have strategy sessions available. I think Heather does as well. So we can actually help you go through your own numbers on this. If it's something that you just want to get somebody else's opinion on. Other than that, like, you know, feel free to just reach out with questions or put them in the comments. And all right. Thank you guys for watching, and
have a good rest of your day.
Go apply for those loans.
Yes, go apply.
All right. Bye.
Thanks. See ya.